right, so get this. Today, we are diving deep into something that you probably already have in your fridge.
Oh, yeah.
Broccoli.
Interesting.
But hold on, we're not talking about, like the best way to cook it or what kind of seasonings to use or anything like that.
Okay.
We're going deep into the science, the research
I like it.
behind the potential health benefits.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to some serious stuff like cancer.
That's great. And the really cool thing here is that we're not just looking at like one isolated study or anything.
Right.
We've got a whole bunch of meta-analyses and systematic reviews.
Okay.
Which means we're actually looking at data that's compiled from tons of individual studies.
Oh, wow.
That gives us a much more, kind of reliable and complete picture.
So we're not just like taking one study's word for it.
Right.
We're looking at the big picture.
Exactly.
All right, so let's unpack this a bit.
Yeah.
Our first stop is a 2024 systematic review and meta-analysis that was published in Nutrients.
Oh.
And get this. It found an inverse relationship.
Interesting.
Between broccoli intake and cancer risk.
Oh, wow.
Now, before we get too excited here, can you break down what inverse relationship actually means?
Yeah, sure.
In this context.
So simply put, it means that as broccoli consumption goes up, the risk of cancer tends to go down.
Okay.
You can almost picture a seesaw.
I see.
When one side goes up, the other goes down.
Gotcha.
Now, this doesn't mean that broccoli is like a magical cure-all or anything, but it's definitely a pretty significant finding.
Definitely not saying to replace, doctor's visits with a broccoli buffet or anything.
Exactly.
But I am curious, how big was this study?
Oh, it was massive. They crunched data from 35 studies with over 700,000 participants.
Whoa, that's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. And these weren't all the same kind of studies either. They included both case control and cohort studies.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
For those of us who don't spend all day reading research papers, can you explain what those different study types mean?
Absolutely. So case control studies are kind of like looking back in time.
Okay.
They compare people who already have a certain condition.
Okay.
Like cancer, let's say.
Got it.
To people who don't. And then they try to see if there are any differences in their past behaviors or exposures, such as like how much broccoli they ate.
Gotcha.
Cohort studies, on the other hand, follow a group of people over time, and they track who develops a condition and who doesn't.
So like different ways of piecing together the puzzle.
Precisely. And in this case, the protective effect of broccoli was even more pronounced in those case control studies.
Oh, interesting.
Which suggests that we need more of those cohort studies to really nail down that connection.
Got it. So science is all about like constantly refining our understanding, right?
Exactly.
Always learning more.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The study authors suggested that broccoli might actually have biological effects that could help protect against cancer.
Wait, biological effects? So like it's doing more than just, giving us vitamins and fiber?
That's exactly what we're going to delve into next. So we'll come back to that idea in just a bit.
Okay, you've definitely piqued my interest.
Right.
Now, for our next source, let's jump to a 2014 meta-analysis from Nutrition Hospital area.
Okay.
And this one zoomed in specifically on broccoli, glucoraphanin, and sulforaphane in humans.
Interesting.
Sulforaphane, that sounds pretty intense.
It is. This is where we kind of start to uncover how broccoli works its magic at like a molecular level.
Oh, okay.
Sulforaphane, often shortened to SFN, is an isothiocyanate.
Okay.
Now, I know that word might sound like a mouthful.
It is.
Think of it like a tiny little chemical warrior in broccoli.
Oh, okay.
That helps fight off harmful invaders in our bodies.
So like broccoli's secret weapon.
Kinda, yeah.
But where does this glucoraphanin fit in?
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, SFN is actually derived from glucoraphanin, which is another compound that's found in broccoli.
So it's like glucoraphanin is the raw material and SFN is like the finished product.
Yeah.
The superpowered warrior ready to fight for our health.
Exactly.
So what did this review find about how these compounds actually affect us?
So get this. They found that eating broccoli sprouts led to improvements in blood glucose and lipid profiles.
Wait, so like better blood sugar and cholesterol just from eating broccoli sprouts?
It is pretty remarkable.
That's incredible.
And there were even more positive effects. They found improvements in oxidative stress markers, too.
Now we're connecting back to that earlier point about broccoli's biological effects, right?
Yes.
Can you remind us what oxidative stress is and why we should care about it?
Yeah, so think of oxidative stress as like wear and tear on our cells.
Okay.
It's caused by things like pollution, unhealthy diets, and even just the normal processes of aging.
All right.
And over time, that damage can increase the risk of all sorts of diseases, including cancer.
So broccoli might not be like directly attacking cancer cells or anything, but instead it's like bolstering our body's own defenses
Exactly.
against that cellular damage.
It's all about understanding that bigger picture. Right. And how all these different compounds and mechanisms kind of work together to impact our overall health.
This is blowing my mind a little.
Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
So how does this research on broccoli and sulforaphane compare to that first massive study that we were talking about?
Well, this review was smaller than the first one. It only included 17 studies.
Okay.
And like most research, it highlighted the need for more studies to really confirm these findings.
Yeah.
But it definitely adds another layer to the broccoli story, don't you think?
Absolutely. And it makes me wonder, could sulforaphane have benefits beyond just cancer prevention?
That is a fantastic question, and it's actually a perfect segue to our next source.
Yep.
So there's this 2023 meta-analysis in Life Sciences that explored sulforaphane's potential to protect the kidneys.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this particular study is that it focused on animal models.
So not humans this time.
Right, not humans this time.
Why did they use animals for this research?
Well, it's a common step in scientific research.
Okay.
Sometimes researchers will start with animal studies to get a better understanding of how a substance might work before they move on to human trials.
I see.
It lets them explore things in a more controlled environment.
Gotcha.
And get a glimpse into the potential benefits and risks.
Makes sense. So what did this study with the animals reveal about sulforaphane's effects on the kidneys?
The results were really impressive, actually. They found that sulforaphane actually led to improvements in several markers of kidney function. It even helped reduce kidney lesions, which are like areas of damage in the kidney tissue.
Oh, wow. So we're seeing potential for sulforaphane to be protective in multiple ways.
Precisely.
Not just for cancer.
Yeah, it opens up this possibility that this compound could have a wide range of applications for supporting our health.
That's pretty exciting. But you mentioned earlier that we need to be cautious about extrapolating animal study findings to humans.
Right.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Of course. So animal models are incredibly valuable for research.
Yeah.
But they're not perfect replicas of human biology.
Okay.
What works in a mouse or a rat doesn't always translate directly to humans.
So while these findings are promising, we need more research, especially in humans, to confirm if sulforaphane truly has these kidney protective effects in people.
Exactly. But it definitely opens up exciting avenues for future research.
For sure.
And speaking of exploring further, our next study might surprise you.
Oh.
We're moving from kidneys to a completely different area, autism.
Autism. Wow, that's a plot twist. What does broccoli have to do with autism?
It's all about sulforaphane again.
Okay.
There's a fascinating 2022 network meta-analysis published in Molecular Autism that looked at a whole bunch of different treatments for autism.
Okay.
And guess what? Sulforaphane was one of them.
So they were trying to figure out if broccoli's super compound could potentially help people with autism.
Exactly.
I'm really curious to hear what they found.
So this type of study, a network meta-analysis, is pretty cool.
Okay.
It lets researchers compare many different treatments head-to-head to see which ones are the most effective.
I like that.
It's like a giant tournament for treatments.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
So in this treatment tournament, how did sulforaphane perform?
Right.
Did it show promise for helping with autism symptoms?
Yeah.
Well, the results did show some indication that sulforaphane might improve certain autism symptoms.
Okay.
However, and this is important, the evidence was considered weak.
Okay.
And the study authors strongly emphasized the need for more research.
So it's too early to say for sure, but it's like a potential starting point for future investigations.
Even weak evidence can be a valuable clue.
Right.
Leading to more robust research down the road. Science is a process of building upon what we know, one study at a time.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It's like each study is a piece of a giant jigsaw puzzle, and slowly but surely we're piecing together a clearer understanding of how things work.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
4 different meta-analyses, all exploring the wonders of broccoli and its superstar compound sulforaphane.
Yeah.
So for our listener who's been hanging on to every word, can you give us a quick recap of the key takeaways?
Absolutely. So the main takeaway here is that there's growing evidence from a variety of sources suggesting that broccoli,
Okay.
And particularly its sulforaphane content may offer a range of health benefits.
Okay.
We saw potential protection against cancer, improvements in metabolic markers like blood sugar and cholesterol, and even signs of kidney protection in those animal models.
It's amazing to think that something as simple and readily available as broccoli could have such a profound impact on our well-being.
It really is. And it highlights the importance of that holistic view of health.
Right.
We often get caught up focusing on individual diseases or conditions.
Yeah.
But what if we could target underlying mechanisms that contribute to multiple health issues?
That's a really good point.
That's where things get really interesting.
It's like taking a step back and looking at the whole forest instead of just the individual trees.
Exactly.
So for our listener who might be thinking, okay, this is all fascinating, but what does it actually mean for me? Should I be eating broccoli every single day? What would you say to them?
That's a great question. So this information is all about empowering you to make informed choices about your diet and lifestyle.
Okay.
We're not saying to replace your medications with broccoli or to start eating it for every meal.
Right.
But it's about understanding that what we eat can have a really powerful impact on our health.
Knowledge is power. Right.
Exactly.
If you're already a broccoli lover, this deep dive might give you even more reasons to enjoy it.
Yeah. And if you haven't been a fan of broccoli in the past, maybe it's time to give it another shot. You never know. You might discover a new favorite way to prepare it.
Right.
And who knows what future research might uncover about this humble vegetable and its potential to improve our health.
Right.
We might just be scratching the surface here.
I'm already craving some roasted broccoli with garlic and Parmesan cheese.
Sounds delicious.
But seriously, it's incredible to think about how much we're still learning about the foods we eat.
And it is, yeah. It really is. And that's what makes science so captivating.
Yeah.
There's always more to learn.
Right.
And speaking of learning more, I think this whole deep dive raises some interesting questions for us to ponder.
Okay.
You know, we've talked about the potential benefits of sulforaphane.
Yeah.
But we haven't really explored how it actually works at, like, the cellular level.
That's true. We've seen hints of its biological effects.
Yeah.
But what are the specific mechanisms involved? It's like we've seen the amazing performance, but haven't actually gone backstage to see how it all comes together.
Exactly. And understanding those mechanisms could be like the key to unlocking even more therapeutic applications for sulforaphane.
Oh, wow.
Like having this really powerful tool and figuring out all the different ways that you can use it.
Right, right. I love that analogy. It makes me wonder what other amazing discoveries are just waiting around the corner.
Who knows?
What if we could harness the power of sulforaphane to create new treatments for all sorts of conditions?
The possibilities are pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
This is why I find these deep dives so rewarding.
Yeah.
We start with one topic, and it just opens up this whole universe of intriguing questions and potential avenues for exploration.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion. There's always another layer underneath just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly.
So for our listener who's now armed with all this knowledge about broccoli and sulforaphane, I hope this inspires them to, explore further.
Absolutely. Don't just take our word for it.
Right.
Go out there, dig into the research yourself, ask questions, and stay curious.
Yeah.
You never know what amazing insights you might uncover.
That's so true.
Well, that brings us to the end of our broccoli deep dive.
Wow.
I hope you found it informative, engaging.
I did.
And maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at broccoli in a whole new light from now on.
That's great. And if you're left with more questions than answers, that's a good thing. It means we've sparked your curiosity.
Right.
And that's what learning is all about.
So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep those brains firing.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of broccoli and sulforaphane.
And who knows, maybe we'll revisit this topic in the future as new research emerges.
Definitely.
Until then, stay curious.
See you next time for another fascinating exploration into the world around us.